Yoga says that there are 5 factors that cause our suffering, and it explains how we can remove them and lead a very happy life. Now, this wisdom comes to us from the sage Patanjali, the father of yoga, and he explained all this in his text, the Yoga Sutras, which is the basic foundational text of yoga and the most important text in yoga. And these factors are called kleshas. Klesha literally means afflictions. Now, there are 5 afflictions, and it's the first one that's most important. The other 4 are derived from the first one. And the first affliction is ignorance. And there are 4 types of ignorance, but the main ignorance is that we perceive the non-self to be the self. And that is, we think we are the body and not the soul. Our soul is consciousness, but we identify with the body and not with consciousness. And this is the most important ignorance, and from this ignorance is derived other forms of ignorance, that we perceive the transient to be eternal. We go after physical pleasures, and those are actually transient, they're not eternal. Now, from ignorance, from this feeling of that I am the body, comes the second affliction, which is egoism. We get an ego, we feel we are one, we are separate from others, we are distinct from others. Patanjali calls this I-ness, that's egoism. Now, once you feel you're separate from others, you have attraction and aversion. You're attracted to certain things and you dislike certain things. You have likes and dislikes, and that comes from your personality, that you have certain things that you are attracted to and certain things that you are repelled by. Now, the 5th and final affliction is the tenacity for mundane existence, and that is that we are resistant to change. We don't like to change. And Patanjali says that this even affects the wise. And there's a very interesting story of Swami Vivekananda about this. And when Swami Vivekananda met Ramakrishna for the second time, he went to his room near the Dakshineshwar temple, and Ramakrishna touched him with his foot. And when he did that, Swami Vivekananda had an extraordinary experience. He felt the walls of the room receding, and he felt that he was being sucked into a vacuum. And he didn't know what was happening, so he was scared, and he cried out. He says, what are you doing? Don't you know that I have a family? He thought he was going to die. And Ramakrishna laughed loudly, and he said, okay, it doesn't have to happen all at once. And he just touched his chest with his hand, and suddenly the room came back to normal. And Swami Vivekananda was very puzzled by this, and he was disappointed in himself that he was having a high experience and he didn't go through with it. And he decided the next time something like this happened, he would not go back, and he would try and experience it fully. Now, how do you remove these 5 afflictions? Now, Patanjali explains that if the afflictions are weak, you can remove them by going to the state of awareness. That means if your identification with your body is weak, you can move to a state of awareness easily, and these 5 afflictions will disappear. But if these afflictions are strong, then he says you have to remove them by practicing meditation. And he also says that the roots, that karma, the law of karma, has its roots in these afflictions. Now, then Patanjali goes into it in further detail. He talks about suffering, the 3 external causes. And he says that we also suffer due to our past karma. Some of the things that we may have done in the past, that's stored as impressions in our memory, and it will manifest sometime in the future. And when it manifests, if you've done something wrong, something evil, then when the consequences of that past actions manifest in the future, then we will suffer. And the second cause of external suffering is changing conditions. When something changes, we lose our job, or we lose some money, or somebody in our family falls sick. These external factors, when our external conditions change, then they can also cause us to suffer. And then he also says something interesting. He says that if you're really discriminating or discerning, you'll understand that there are certain contradictions in the way life functions. And you solve one problem and another problem comes up. And actually these contradictions are there for our benefit. It's to help us evolve. And then he explains, he says there that suffering that is yet to come can be avoided. And he says the way to do this is for the individual to unite with God. And that's what yoga means. Yoga means union. So you ultimately remove your suffering by uniting with God. And for this, he gives 8 limbs of yoga. And asanas are one limb of yoga. Asanas are a tool, they're not the end result. And the first limb are the self-disciplines, they're called yamas. There are 5 of them. And the second limb are the observances. After the observances, you have the asanas, which are the physical postures. You have pranayam, which are the breathing practices. Then you have pratyahar, which is sensory detachment. Then you have dharana, which is concentration, and when your concentration becomes deeper, it automatically goes into dhyan, which is meditation. And when your meditation becomes deeper and you become more one-pointed, you go to samadhi, which is a state very close to final enlightenment. But there's a shortcut in this, that you don't need to do all the 8 steps. If you can stop identifying with your body, then that's a very direct and a fast path to enlightenment. If you can set this feeling aside that I'm the body and instead identify with consciousness, then you will rapidly go to the state of enlightenment and you will remove all your suffering. Now this is, Lord Shiva also said something similar in the Shiva Sutras, and I've given a link to a video at the end of this video which shows you how to achieve this, how to not identify with the body and instead identify with consciousness. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras is an amazing text. It's only 196 sutras and there's a lot of wisdom packed into it. Now, I've only touched on the subject briefly. If you want to learn more about it, I highly recommend that you read this book. It'll change your life completely for the better. Thank you for watching.